On today's Minute of the Apes, to correct my inability to do French taunting correctly, I present to you my friend Sean Jackson with dialogue from this minute of Planet of the Apes.
Are you trying to put me out of business? This is the skankiest, scabbiest, scuzziest humans I've ever seen. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent?
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Because of the divine bomb.
The only good human is a dead human!
There is fire, there is smoke.
Now fight like apes!
The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd, and the community players before me
Thank you.
are Richard and Sean. Yes.
Thank you.
The crowd goes emphatically insane. What a performance. You guys...
We're taking it on the road.
No, it's not even on the road. You're taking it to a complete new level. I think at this point we need to quit playing back things. I think we just need to reenact the movie.
The scenes
over
ourselves.
I think it'd be a little bit more interesting if we reenacted the movie.
It would be unforgettable.
It'd be unforgivable.
Yes. Well,
Unimpressionable.
all I can say is I love you both for that. That was stunning. That was stellar.
All right.
And you know, as great as you are, Sean, with your voices,
You like Richard's
you have
calm voice?
you have a future in radio.
Okay. I have a face made for radio.
Yes. But oh, don't play on me. I launched the clip there, and I thought it was going to play for a second. I was like, oh, shit. All right, so minute 22.
Okay.
Sean, tell us what's going
We're
on.
going to start minute 22 with Davidson staring in disbelief and ends with gentlemen to the left, ladies to the right.
All right, here it comes. Minute 22. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
What, are you trying to put me out of business? Oh, these are the skankiest, scabbiest, scuzziest humans I've ever seen.
You don't want them?
I'll take the whole lot. I must be out of my mind, I'll have to make it up on volume. All right, get 'em out and get 'em clean! Chop, chop!
Let's go! Keep it moving, move along! Come on! Hurry up, get out of there! Hurry up!
As minute 22, we have an Oberon's worth of apes and humans, 2 displaced pods worth of humans, and apes in an ape city.
All right, visually, we start off with Marky Mark once again framed nicely within the cart. We see Paul Giamatti walking down some steps, very simian-like, with a bunch of other gorillas following. The cart goes away. We see, I don't really know why they're carrying a big piece of wood, but some humans carrying wood. Then Paul Giamatti goes to the cart. We have exchanges as he looks into the cart and says that we have skanky humans. We see a gorilla that is very toothy. We go along, and that camera pretty much follows most of his action back to the wide shot, and then weirdly masked gorillas reach in with those... What are those things that you reach to the top of a shelf with? You know,
just
that
like called a grabber.
They're called grabber,
They literally have like big gorilla grabbers, and they reach in and put it around the humans' necks and pull them out. They only do that to the first couple,
That was my note as well. Yeah.
and then they pull everybody else out one at a time. And that's pretty much the end visually of our moment. So let's go back to the very first. I think really the first thing, we have that remnant of Marky Mark, but then we do see Paul walking down the steps, and again,
With the bow legs.
swinging his arms out. I don't know what you would call this, you know, but you also you do see apes walking.
Yeah, he's
like
just
that.
trying to make him look like a orangutan walking.
You definitely know that they've brought in some people that told them how to walk.
There was I'm gonna have to look up his name. Hang on. There's like a physical actor coach that like would teach people how to run like apes and stuff like that. And he's done this for a lot of movies. I can't
Well,
remember.
they had one too on the next movies we'll get to. I mean, and you really, since those are CGI replacement, you can really see that they wanted to go incredibly realistic. But I think that this is a nice addition compared to what, where the apes in the first film were just completely humanoid versions of the apes. Very little, there was a little shuffle here and there, but there wasn't a lot of ape behavior.
I suppose we're kind of starting to see
I think it's
develop characters, I guess, if you will,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is kind of an extension
okay.
of this
His
universe.
name is Terry Notary, and
Okay.
yeah, he like physically. If I'm gonna spin my laptop around here and show you, but you can see like there he is right now, and this is obviously perfect medium for radio, but he like taught them how to physically walk like apes and how to act like apes and how you should move your hips and stuff like that. So, and this was especially for the running parts, but so he would also teach people, you want to do that gait where your feet are your legs are a little bowed and you kind of wobble side to side a little bit.
But this is definitely for the next films. You can see that he's wearing those arm extensions
Yeah.
so that he could walk around like that.
Yeah.
But still, we may not have that level. We're not seeing people walk on all fours, but it's definitely it's a bridge
again,
between
with
the
little
two.
kids playing with their feet and everything,
Yeah.
and possibly if we went back and looked at it, when the apes were chasing people through the forest to catch them, they were running on all fours and stuff like that too. And I'm sure later in the movie we'll see apes, jumping on things and running on all fours, being a little more apey.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, honey, what do you want to be when you grow up?
It's so funny
What's
you
your
said-
career in?
Well, I'm going to teach people how to walk like apes.
That's funny you
gonna
say
go
that because
Hollywood.
I can see me going to Shelley and going, look, what I really want to do is make a movie. That's my future. However, what if I went in and said, what I really want to do is I want to learn to walk like an ape, and I'm going to
He's a
test all
movement
these
coach.
things out. And that's
He's just
Matter of
watching
fact, that guy-
YouTube videos of ape movements
Yeah.
all day long.
That guy was in a movie called The Square, which is about I think a art demonstration that's very avant-garde, and then at one point he comes in with those things on his arms and in a dinner while people are eating acts like an ape and getting up in people's faces and sniffing in them and moving their food and jumping on the tables with those things on his hand. I think he grabs a woman and runs off with her at some point. Yeah.
I think he's come into the store before and asked me who was stronger between superheroes.
do you get people asking you that?
Oh my god, it's the funniest thing. The two most common questions are, what's the most expensive thing in here, or what's the most expensive comic book you have,
He also played
and who would win in a fight?
he was
Okay.
also in the Infinity War and Endgame. He played Cull Obsidian, one of Thanos' hench people.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the most expensive thing you have?
I don't know.
You don't want to tell.
I don't know.
And
Probably
who
some
who would
statue, I would
who is
think.
the strongest superhero?
No, who would win in a fight?
Okay, who'd win in a
People,
fight?
people like pit these. Who would win with Thor, Captain America? Who would win Batman or Superman?
Whoever the writer wanted to win.
Yeah, exactly.
That's who wins.
Basically,
Okay, but if you're the writer, who wins, Superman or Captain America?
stop that.
Superman. Come on.
Man.
Thank you. I wanted you to say that because I agree with that too. I've heard people say opposite, and I'm like,
Well, they had a Marvel Avenger. They had a DC Marvel crossover thing years ago, drawn by George Perez, and at the end of it, there's a scene where you see Superman holding Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Gosh, Sissy, I'm being baited at this conversation. No, let's talk about this minute.
No,
Let's
go
talk-
ahead. Let's finish this real quick, and we'll get to the minute.
Okay, the thing that most people seem to forget is that Superman and Flash race.
Yes.
Right? So Superman has the ability to move so quickly that any character wouldn't have, even Batman would not have any
Time to
opportunity
react.
If Superman remembers that he can actually do this, but
Yeah.
he doesn't do it when he's normally fighting. He's just punching. But you see him move as fast as Flash. So if he can actually move before you can actually do anything, that sounds so stupid.
Okay, so in between, we're getting into some of this.
Oh, because
Okay,
I
all
have
right.
I have notes about
Okay.
Superman speed.
I called this conversation ended until in between. Okay. So, one of the things about halfway through it, because again, this is a lot. A lot of this is one tracking shot of Paul Giamatti walking across here. I do have to call out what a great edit that when it goes from we've got weird gorilla in the. Let's talk about his costume real quick. Are these meant to look like muscles without skin atop them? Look how red it is and the striations and all that kind of thing.
What costumes?
The gorillas behind Paul Giamatti.
Oh, okay, hang
It
on.
really, if you look at it, kind of looks like a raw muscle suit.
Fair.
And I wonder if that's kind of what they're going for. But here's the edit and it's not a perfect edit. And you can tell this is not just two cameras shooting the same scene. But when it goes from the 2-shot looking to a 2-shot to the side, I mean, even their eyes are.
I see what you're talking about.
They're in the same place. They're hitting the same beat, but you can tell the lighting is different, so you can tell it's a different setup. But still, I was like, "Wow, that's a great edit."
That's just supposed to be armor. It's very reminiscent of.
Yeah, it's armor for sure. I'm just asking.
It's like reminiscent of how they dressed Dracula and Bram Stoker's
It is
Dracula.
a little bit.
So I think they're taking it from historical armor and trying to make it look like that. Yeah,
but that one edit, boy, I watched that like 5 or 6 times. I was like, that's pretty top tier editing right there. But we get this gorilla, and I get it. He's a day player showing up. Did they tell him, because everything he does is,
to show the teeth? Yeah.
Wait,
well,
which
maybe
one?
it's
Who
the
we
guy
talking
the guy who Paul Giamatti paid off to buy the slaves.
Oh, okay. I just thought that was Michael Clark Duncan, but I guess it's
No,
not.
no,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
not-
you're right. He's just like, show me your teeth. Show me your teeth.
Well, I'm wondering
I
how
spent
much.
a lot of money on these.
I'm wondering how much
Yes.
it is because the gorillas you see after that are wearing the masks, so you don't see their teeth at all. So they're trying to show.
yeah, but he closes those. Yeah, I mean, if you watch once he gets he drops the stuff in his hand, it's
Yeah.
kind of down.
I guess the humans do stink, or maybe they have some potential diseases that
Maybe
the
that's why
gorillas can get.
he's-
That's why they're wearing masks. Yeah, CDC
Okay.
requirements.
Yeah, so let's talk about the weird gorillas that show up with the grabbers.
The grabbers.
Okay, so in the shot when we first see them behind him, they're wearing almost like the gauntlet type, the things like Batman wears. You know?
Yeah, maybe to keep them van braces. I think
Yeah.
they're called to keep them from being bitten or something by the humans.
And they've got a couple of grabbers, so they walk past them, and again, their COVID mask is a very weird mask. It just, I don't really understand it. Maybe they have shitty breath, but then they reach in and they take what looks like one of the members of the rock band Dio with the bad mustache, and they pull him out.
I was so confused. So we wanted to stage the fact that there's this kind of violent moment of having to pull them out of the
Grab
cart,
them out of
which
the
is
cart.
why we have the two grabbers and we're going to collar them. But conveniently, Leo has moved to the back of the cart as
Yeah.
opposed to the front of the cart, and two random muscle dudes just lined up to be first.
yeah, and then,
Which is why they have the grabbers.
And
right?
then they have a kid,
Right.
a girl, and Chris Christopherson. And then, which I can understand. Okay, maybe the older man they're not so worried about. They don't need to get the grab or anything. But everybody else are just shoving out. So what's the point of that?
I think it's just to kind of to set up this idea that this is kind of an aggressive act. Maybe in some way the two muscle dudes got to the front of the back of the cart to
If they
fight,
jump out.
They were gonna attempt potentially fight and get their way out. I'll go with that fantasy, which is
Yeah.
why they had the grabbers to get the guys out first before they get the women and children.
I do like the choreography of the staging of it. So the two people in the middle with the grabbers pull, and then two guys flank their outsides and rush in to get the next people. Now, Estella, what's her name, that plays our young lady here, does get like who farted face when
Stella Moore.
it is so
No, the
unfair
fart.
to watch a movie like this because nobody in the world, she's not trying to make that, but sure you freeze on it. And
All right, so based upon what you've seen in this scene, would you now piece what they were doing together? What's happening at this moment?
Well, they're gonna sell these humans at some point, or
Sell them, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we've got some type of slave situation.
okay,
happening here.
what makes you think they're going to sell them? What is?
Well,
He bought them
he
from
paid
somebody.
off the,
okay, that's fair.
cart.
That's fair.
yeah.
He paid off the cart to somebody, right?
And he said he's gonna make it up in bulk.
Yeah, I'll take the whole lot.
Okay, that's fair.
and then he says he's going to get them cleaned, and he divides them into two different genders.
So again, we haven't been told yet how smart these humans are or anything. So how do they know women to the left, gentlemen to the
that's
right,
it. We
women to
do
the left?
we do know now, right? We know that they can understand English with the fact that he can say "gentlemen on the left, ladies on the right." Is he telling the other apes to make that happen,
Or is it the humans?
Or is he
Yeah.
telling the humans?
So when we get the moment where they take Chris Christopherson and our pretty woman past, and then they go and they take the bald guy, then they get Marky Mark. Okay, Marky doesn't try to resist. There are comments, that I'll say what is said about him later. I'm not entirely sure why it's said about him because in this he is so passive that these gorillas, he should be shitting his pants. He should be, what the fuck is going on, you know?
Let me go. Get off
again,
Hey, let me go so I can say hi to your mother.
well, okay, so Marky Mark, you look at Paul Thomas Anderson, how he directs him in Boogie Nights, and he has a lot of spunk and a lot of attitude there. But it seems like a lot of his subsequent films are just him being very, very passive. And I can't help but think Tim Burton's a strong director. Isn't your job to tell him, okay, we're going to pull you out. You need to look concerned. And it just, I don't know.
Maybe he George Lucas did and just said faster,
More intense.
More intense.
Well, he didn't get to the more intense part.
Yeah, his I guess you're right. His being pulled from the cart is actually rather passive. Maybe he's trying to blend in at this point.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what
He's
they
just trying
talked
to
about.
hide. Well, they told him to shut up earlier, right?
Well, it's also in a weird situation that I think if we went back and watched the original film, so much of that what's going on is told from Taylor's vantage. We're seeing him observe these things. Marky just disappears within this, and the camera never cuts to his observations or thoughts.
I mean, are we comparing him to
I don't think you can help but.
Taylor's character? I mean, is that what's like the machismo aggressiveness of Taylor to what we're getting with Marky Mark, and they're not the same at all? The two completely different energies.
I think I don't know how you can help but do that, because let's look at the direct parallels. You know, a spaceship, something happens, something's experienced. They go to a planet of the apes. They crash into water. They're taken, hoarded, taken in, put into a cart. It is a direct.
They're pulling so much
parallel
stuff from it. Yeah,
And I think when you look at that, it's like
I mean, there was no skinny dipping scene, but
no, but I think that the only thing that we've really not seen is it's almost like we're relying on our belief of Marky Mark. We all know him from the underwear ads. We all know him from the different things he's done where it's more of a macho person. He's not given anything as an actor to portray that element. And I think that to me is where it's falling flat.
All right. Well, this would then go back to the writer and
Yeah. 100%, but then it also lands on the director too. But who knows? Maybe Tim Burton wanted it to be a little bit more of how does a person today react to this? Are they just scared? You know, you can take moments like this and make them a metaphor for our own times where things are crazy and most of us want to stay back out of the chaos of it. And maybe you can make an argument from that, but I don't know.
Even though they're kind of doing the beginning of the original Planet of the Apes here. Do you think the fact that they change everybody's names to be something different, to say, hey, look, it's not the same movie?
I'm sure.
I mean, this is not Taylor. This is not Cornelius. This is not Zira. These are different characters
right,
now.
not based on any historical context whatsoever, just names.
Yeah.
But isn't it weird that you remove the names but keep the events the same?
Yeah, I know. That's what's weird about it. It's like if you'd make Star Wars, except for you have Mark Hairdresser fighting
Mark Hairdresser.
Garth Ennis.
Well, and that's just as fans of the stuff, we're trying to find those nods, and we're not getting those, just not in the names. And but the names we haven't really. I mean, been given a lot of the names yet at this.
I mean, they even
point.
took
I have them in the script, but we have.
Right.
You know.
they even did that little reverse of "Get your stinking hands off me, you damn dirty human," instead of leaving that for Taylor to say at some point or Davidson. Yeah,
and it goes into these kind of things of when we relaunch a franchise, do we need it to be a direct spot on correlation?
That was what's nice about the new trilogy. They start off before the Planet of the Apes,
and you get
when
nods
they get to
it.
you get little nods to it, and then when they get to what is Planet of the Apes, it's completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's almost like what Taika Waititi was saying about with his creation of his upcoming Star Wars stuff, that he wants it to be an entirely different part of the galaxy where they don't even know who Luke Skywalker is.
Lightsabers, yeah.
And I like that. And I almost wish somebody would take Planet of the Apes and just sort of tell me, because are you telling me the only sect of this ape community is this one little that happens again and again? We tell this one story.
Yeah.
This had to exist on other parts of the world, and we have to have different cultures. I'd like to see that with the apes.
Well, I mean, what is going on in Egypt where it's a desert?
Right.
How do they live there? How about in Scotland when it's rainy all the time? How do they live in there?
I mean, I didn't like the Planet of the Apes meets King Kong comic book. I wasn't a fan of that. I was like, but I'd rather them take chances like that and tell me something new and different.
Yeah.
I think we just beat the crap out of that minute.
We have, yeah.
We've run it dry.
I'm kind of a little ready to move on.
I think they actually did a Planet of the Apes Star Trek crossover at one point?
Did they really?
comics?
Maybe.
Well, all right. That is minute 22. I actually had to look at what the minute was. I was like, which one are we doing? Minute 22.
Yeah, Star Trek Planet of the Apes, the Prime Directive.
I
Oh,
think
no,
it-
it's the Primate Directive. I'm
The
sorry.
pri-
Hey-o.
Of course it is. All right. Well, that's it for this one. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Come in on